Is the sheep preaching hate when it says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore? If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop him. Do whatever you have to do to stop him. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back. So they said, no, he's teaching hate, he's violent.
With that being said, right, I had a bit of a clip, right, that I wanted to share with you, and I want to get your opinion on this, right, because I think it's pretty important. Now, this right here is from a broadcast. Hold on a sec. Boom. All right, there it is. I believe from the Straitway Truth Help Meets channel, and you know, it was pretty interesting because, of course, Sister Kyisha also was a part of the Kentucky group as well, like with
Right.
you there in Kentucky prior to her departure and going to Praise Land. Can you tell me a little bit more about your relationship with Kyisha?
Kyisha.
I mean, Kyisha. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Um, I would say for me, yeah, I did know Kyisha very well. We met in Texas actually. And I spent a lot of time with her there in the beginning, because her room was allowed to be the room for visitors. So anytime that we came, me and my daughters would sleep in her room, sometimes with her, or she was somewhere else. You know, she just her room was for the guests, and so we spent a lot of time together through that. But also, eventually, once I did have the divorce, she was someone that I spoke to very often, you know, just now that our stories had become similar and I had already knew the type of woman that she was, you know, I developed a respect for her. So we were pretty, I won't say like super, super close, but I knew her very well. I know Kyisha very well. In my mind as a single woman, she was like the blueprint, honestly. The way that her life, I guess, played out, and just again the testimony that she had in the ministry, and the strength that I did see from her, it was like, this is, you know, someone that you look to for understanding because you're in a similar situation now. So anytime she spoke, I was very in tune and listening to then pattern that.
Right. Nice. And so when she departed and went over to Praise Land, what was the atmosphere like? Like what did, because you know at that point she was like a pillar, an example, because you were walking the walk and you were a single woman at this time with your children, and she was like that pillar, somebody you could look to for an example. So when she went to Praise Land, what was the atmosphere like? What was the conversation surrounding her departure? What was going on, not only with yourself, but also with some of the individuals on the community, things like that?
Yeah, so to make the timeline make sense, I was still in Texas at the time of her departure. All our communication was like Marco Polo, phone calls, emails, things like that. It was all
Right.
through social media and whatnot. So, her moving to Praisland didn't really disrupt anything that we had going on, but I remember very specifically the videos and just even from still communicating with people that were on the land, how hard of a hit that was for them. You know, she left such an impact there that I know when she had to go, it was a lot of tears. And I think there's a video of that. I think there's a video where everybody that was on the land shared their experience and their well wishes for her, and everybody spoke highly of her. And but for me personally as well, having insight on that, I do know that Mitchell spoke highly of Kyisha. He will use her as an example. And Erica too, about just how she was, and you know, this is what Kyisha did, and she was such a, you know, it was just always good things to say. It was just always good things to say. So in my mind, I never had anything bad against her or things that I didn't feel like I needed to take in. Like she had a tree with fruit that I was willing to eat off of. So yeah, and that never changed.
Right. Which is great. Okay. Hallelujah. And I know a lot of it took place. Um, and so we're gonna take a listen as to what she had to say in this particular clip. And I want you to just kind of weigh in on that because I know that here she's just like, so I'm gonna play it real quick and let's hear what she has to say.
Can I say that? Or it comes with challenges?
It comes with challenges because what it is you have things that you want to do. Like, I want to do this for me. I want to take care of my children, but at the end of the day, it's not about your children need to come last. You need to take care of the community first.
Yes.
And
I get that.
Yes.
That's like, whoa, you just hit the sound waves with a loud bang.
Yes.
With that. So I'll hold that in the back of my mind for another point in this interview.
Mm-hmm.
So continue. Okay, you put your children last, and you put someone else before them. Go ahead.
My children know when it comes to Elder, I said, y'all have to wait. I have to take care of Elder. If Elder needs anything, I'm going to be there right away. Even if I got hurt, I'm considering him first because there's certain things that he's not able to do, and sometimes it won't be communicated, but I'm the one who knows what he needs for right now, and sometimes he'll call, Kabir will call me. He's like, do you know what this is with my dad? I'm like, yeah. Or Elder would say, Kabir, no, Kyisha knows what to do. Go get Kyisha.
Because you form a bond.
We formed a bond. We formed like a friendship. I see him like my dad, really, I see him like a dad. So it's important that his needs are met before my own and before my children.
And your children don't receive it in rejection,
No.
like the mind or the rejected mind might hear that. Like if you put your children behind someone else, they don't necessarily have that rejection that the mom has, that offense that the mom has, right?
No,
right.
They're like, okay, mom.
So this is something that I really was intrigued by when she spoke on how her children came absolutely last. I really want you to weigh in on this because from your background and expertise as being a parent coach, I would assume, right, that the children would have a longer lasting effect as they get older. Maybe once they get up there in age, they may experience a bit of, rejection. You know what I mean? It might set in a little bit more as they go on in this fashion. So, but me personally, that's me coming from my angle. What saith you? What do you believe?
That's a really good clip to pull up. I will say that is a great summary of an example of how literally the indoctrination of self-abandonment takes place.
Right.
Looking at that now, I see a woman who has internalized the belief that her own needs.
I don't know if they quite if it quite sunk in what you said. The indoctrination of self-abandonment. Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just unpack that a little bit more. Go ahead. I don't know if it just quite sunk in for everybody, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. As I was saying, she's internalized it. She's calmly speaking her belief that her own needs, her children's needs, and even her physical well-being must come second to her male superior. She says it like it's not about your will. In spiritual context, I can understand that, okay. But then to say your children need to come last, that's when it becomes alarming. This is the psychological hallmark of that high control religious system. She's clearly displaying that to us. There's nothing that you can say to counter that. You see the disconnect from self, the displacement of her maternal instinct. No mammal turns away from their child, naturally. And to
Right.
literally say that they come last, then the obedience to leadership as this is like your ultimate form of righteousness. How well you do this is how holy you are. This is the mother is the highest calling,
Yeah.
but you see it get flattened under the weight of this false spiritual duty. And so that is
Mm.
literally that the term for that is physical inversion, because you're inverting what is actually there and try to replace it with spirituality. And so
Wow.
that's I just that's a good clip. That is a good clip because a single mother's mind, definitely. That's where she's at. A married woman probably wouldn't even be tending to him. But
Right.
if she was, all her husband would have to say is, he wants his children taken care of, or, he's able to set boundaries and parameters around how much his wife is able to serve this man. But for a single woman, like, you have to put your children last. You have a job to do, and it is to serve on a community, whatever that looks like. That is your role. And so it's not to say that there aren't like other women that can help. It's really the fact that they're so busy themselves, or they just had a baby, so it's easier for you to kind of just displace them. And then when there's no husband to leave them with, if he's one that's okay to leave them with him, while you complete your duties, a single woman doesn't have that option. So like I said, Kyisha was the blueprint. So I remember that broadcast, and I remember her making that statement, and I remember then settling it in my heart that that was the tone. Like, okay, children come last. And I functioned
Wow.
exactly like that. So I remember that. This is a really good clip.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was combing through a few things, and that struck me because I felt like, not only is it the personal relationship that was kind of more that you guys were sort of was in the inner circle together, but also the way that she was speaking about it. But my thing is this, because everything you said is absolutely spot on. And I think that the loss, like you said, how did you put it? The self, loss of self, and
Disconnected
right, completely disconnected from yourself and your paternal
completely.
instincts.
Even if
And
I'm
it
hurt.
is unnatural. Yeah. And it is
Yeah.
unnatural. And you said something very powerful too, right? That mother is the highest calling. And this is what is spoken about within this ministry. But the
Mhm.
moment you join and you're a mother, it is the least important thing in this ministry. You know what I mean? The community is way more important than your own family. You know what I mean? So it's like as a single woman. Now, I can't really speak to a married woman because she might have a different look, right? It might look
Mhm.
different. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But for a single woman, mother is the least important thing of
Yeah.
calling in this ministry, who claims that it's the highest call. So I think that's very hypocritical and contradictory. It's like, how you going to claim it if you're not going to enforce it, right? As far as her duties being to her children and being sure that they're well cared for. Now, you got anything you need to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say it's just really hard to do. It's just really hard
Mhm.
to be a mother. And so naturally you put it last. Out of all your priorities, you and your children, like your immediate anything personal to you, which is if you're a single woman, it's just you and your babies, that's last. Everything else
Right.
comes first, no matter what. That has to get done. This can wait.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Now this next